Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Kurtis Blow MCs the Hip-Hop Nutcracker at Strathmore in North Bethesda from December 20th through 22nd. I spoke with the rap legend about pioneering the hip-hop genre with hits like Christmas Rappin' and The Breaks, as well as being sampled by the likes of Next and Nas. Hey, Kurtis Blow, thanks so much for joining us on WTOP.
Oh, man, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, you've been with this thing from the beginning, back at the world premiere in New Jersey in, 2014? What was the original idea back in the beginning? Just sort of recontextualizing Tchaikovsky for a new audience, a new generation?
Yes, it is the Hip-Hop Nutcracker. What an amazing situation. It's a modernized version of the classic Tchaikovsky, big orchestra sounding music that is the most incredible sound to hear when it's mixed up with hip hop music. So that fusion of the hip hop beats under the classical music is a great thing to witness.
Oh, yeah. And that's sort of you mentioned the music. What do we see, visually on stage? Paint us a visual picture for the radio of, what sort of dance we see.
Well, it's a holiday hip hop extravaganza. When you see the actual visuals of the B-boys, we assembled the greatest dancers from around the world. We call them the B-boy Dream Team. And to see them on stage doing their thing, dancing to classical music of Tchaikovsky is wow. It's worth more than the price of tea in China.
Awesome. We can't wait to see it. And then obviously you'll be emceeing sort of, I guess you'll have the mic just saying some things in between.
Yes, I am the host MC, and I actually come out in the intro and get everyone ready for the performance. And I take them back to the old school and sing a old medley of old school hip hop songs, and everyone's dancing and standing up in their seats and throwing their hands in the air and having a great time. And the last thing I do is I sing a song about New Year's Eve. Right? And I make everyone count down from 10 all the way to 1. And when we get to 1, we scream, Happy New Year! And everyone is screaming. And then the lights go out and the curtains come up and they start the show. And it starts on New Year's Eve in 1980.
Gotcha. That's where it's set. Gotcha. Cool. Well, speaking of taking them back to the old school, remind our listeners how you got into rapping in the first place. You were born in New York in 59, grew up in Harlem. What sort of music did you listen to? How'd you get into rapping?
Well, that's a pretty long story right there. But I'll tell you the short version in a couple of paragraphs. We'll say, it was all about the music that spawned the dance to the music. And then, of course, the DJ who played the music for the people to dance to, and how the rapper, the MC, became the master of the ceremony and just ushered in this vibe of having a good time in the place to be. And that's what it was in a nutshell, what I did, all of the above. And I was fortunate and blessed to be able to carry it off. Of course, I went to college, school, and brought the culture into the classroom and the classroom into the culture. And so that was a big part of my success, because I had an advantage over everyone else who didn't have an education in communications, which was the relative field to hip hop. We are orators and communicators, and it's all about the culture. And the communication.
You're right. That studies, the communication studies, probably really set you apart. Well, as everyone knows, at age 20 in 1979, you became the first rapper, I believe, the first ever to sign a major record label for that self-titled debut album. Of course, it had that huge smash hit, "The Breaks," which we all know. I think VH1 might have ranked it like one of the top 10 hip hop songs ever a couple years ago. But memories of recording "The Breaks." How'd you come up with that one?
Well, my producers, actually, J.B. Moore and Robert Ford, asked me, after Christmas rap, what's the next song you want to do? What idea? I said, I want to do a song with a lot of breaks in it. So my B-boys, my B-boy buddies can do their thing and dance, And so JB came up with the concept. Oh, well, that is great. There was an old philosophy song that came out in the 1920s where the guy was saying, so your wife left you and you lost your job and your car got towed away. Don't worry, the sun will shine tomorrow. Everything will be all right. And it's like, the good things and the bad things that can happen to one, just say, that's the breaks,
That's the break.
And so that's where the concept comes in. And we have those multiple connotations, like, of course, brakes on a bus, brakes on a car, brakes that'll make you a superstar, brakes to win, brakes to lose. But these here brakes will rock your shoes. What an incredible line.
Oh, it's all time stuff. It's all time stuff. It still make you laugh. Well, you mentioned Christmas Rappin' off that same album. That was like your first big breakthrough. And I remember it was sampled by Next and Too Close, the beginning of that song in the 90s. That was when I grew up. So that's how I remember it. And then I doubled back and found your Christmas Rappin', sir. But man, talk about recording that Christmas rap song. This was almost a decade before Run DMC Christmas in Hollis. You did it first.
Yeah, well, Christmas Rap is my favorite Kurtis Blow song because it's my first. And, just the actual process of recording the song was, wow, straight out of, the 60s or the 50s, how they recorded music in the studio was like the whole band would be there playing, hooked up, and they would record the whole song live. And you would do it 2 or 3 times, and I was sitting in the first time in my life, I'm sitting in the middle. They have a chair and a little microphone coming up. So I'm singing along, rapping along with them. And my God, that was the most incredible thing. I'm rapping the song live, and then I had to go back in later on and do overdubs and do the real vocals. So I did a rough vocal along with the band, and they recorded everything. And so that's how we recorded songs back then. And that was crazy to be in that position, that situation where I'm sitting in a seat and I have a microphone right here and the whole band is surrounding me. And what a great, incredible feeling that is. And the fidelity of the music is, it's not a block party. It's not a community center, it's not out on the street, man, in the park. It is some quality music for the first time.
It really, really is. And, I mentioned that, Christmas Rappin' was sampled by Next in the 90s, but also in the 90s, Nas sampled If I Ruled the World and had a huge hit just like you did. Memories of recording If I Ruled the World. And then also, how flattering is it when you have a legend like Nas, revamping it?
Yeah, man. My hat goes off to Next and Nas, and I thank them for, giving me new life with the recreation of those songs. Man, incredible stuff. Triple platinum and double platinum they were.
Yeah.
Actually, next one, Song of the Year, on the they got in was that ASCAP, the ASCAP Awards. They won Song of the Year in I don't know what it was,
98 or something like that.
Something like that, right?
Well, it was long overdue so in a way you won Song of the Year just like a couple decades on delay. Cool. Well, talking to you has been almost like a history lesson, but you've sort of adopted this role as like a history teacher of the genre. I know you did that history of rap thing for Rhino Records. You did the Hip Hop Evolution documentary that won the Peabody. I think that was maybe on Netflix. And then recently you were elected chairman of the Universal Hip Hop Museum. I think that's supposed to come in New York and the Bronx in like 2023. What's it like? What's it like being sort of the elder statesman, if you will, and educating all these young folks up and coming about the history of the genre?
Well, it's I thank you for those accolades, man. I just want to help people. I always been that real producer type person in my career, and when I say that, I mean, I love to support people, and Michael Jackson told me one time, never forget where you come from. And he said, Kurtis, I never had a childhood. I was forced into this entertainment industry. And so cherish those moments in your memory of you growing up in Harlem, and never forget where you come from, and never forget the friends that helped you get there. And so I always wanted to, always be a part of this belief in loveism, love over hate. And that's just who I became. It took a while. I was a sinner. I'll tell you, I wasn't an angel, but God did come into my life and I transformed. Amen.
Yeah, tell me about that, because I know you were quote unquote born again Christian in like 94 or something, and became an ordained minister actually in 2009. Founded the Hip Hop Church in Harlem. How big of what caused that transformation, that whole new perspective, and got you going down a new path, and and just how rewarding is it to sort of spread the message and try to help other lives with your faith?
Well, that's a whole another long story, but
I appreciate you condensing it.
The short of it, of course, God is everything. And I just started reading the Bible at one time. I got really bored with life and everything that was happening. Being on the top of the mountain, I was like, is this all that life has to offer? So I said, let me read the Bible. I started reading the Bible, and it became a mission, a quest for me to read the entire Bible. And I got turned out. I'll tell you the truth. I started to love all the stories in the Old Testament. Of course, Moses and Samson is in the Bible, and Joseph and Solomon, and on and on and on. And then I got to the New Testament and learned about Jesus Christ, and in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and they telling the same story about Jesus, but in different perspectives. And it's such an amazing gospel read. And the writer, 2/3 of the New Testament is Paul. And just to read from Romans to oh my gosh, to Hebrews, Corinthians, First and Second Corinthians is incredible. James, but when I got to Revelations, oh my God, that's when it really set in. I needed, because I learned about all of the tribulation that is coming, that we are in right now, I believe, and how things happen from like Jesus is supposed to come back, and we are supposed to get ready for Jesus' return, and how I needed to get my life together before the returning King. And so I started going to church, and I got born again, and the rest is history. God changed my life. I'm a walking, living breathing testimony of 2 Corinthians 5:17 that says, those in Christ Jesus are a new creation. All those old things have passed away, and all things become new. So
that's the perfect place to leave it. Listeners can't see this, but Kurtis Blow wearing a cross around his neck right now on Zoom, and that's the perfect place to leave it. So thank you so much for joining us. It was a blast chatting with you. Again, Kurtis Blow will be guest MC of the Hip-Hop Nutcracker, which comes to Strathmore on December 20th through the 22nd. Thank you so much. You're a legend, sir. It's great chatting with you.
All right. Thank you. A big shout out going out to B-Boy Gabriel and Jarvis and Jennifer Weber and David Rodriguez and Marie. I love you guys. Thank you. This is our family. The Hip-Hop Nutcracker is back, baby. See you soon.
Thanks so much for joining us on Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Remember to hit the subscribe button and give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time. I wanted to take a second to tell you about an app I really enjoy. Living in the DC area is great, and Podcast DC gathers all of the local shows that I like all in one local app. Health, sports, local news, politics, and so much more. Podcast DC is the new local app with hundreds of DC area podcasts to choose from. I can earn exciting rewards just for listening and share the podcasts I love instantly. Available in the App Store or in Google Play, listen local with Podcast DC.